And hello, fellow raiders. Welcome to another Raid Shadow Legends video. We had quite a week. The big news on Monday, which I did a video for, was about the dupe system. They're going to be changing the sparring pit to basically handle your dupes. In short, I'm not a fan. I think the Vault Guardians, Faction Guardians is a terrible idea. Just takes up space. I think they should ditch it. Empowerment, I think, is a bad idea if they're going to do it. Be nice if they actually included the other rarities. And life tokens, while a good idea, I think they're going to botch it with the choices that you can actually trade in for. So I think overall, it's 3 out of 3 misses for me. Also, the servers have kind of been exploding, and they gave us some nice little gifts as compensation for that. But their server reliability is kind of been all over the place recently. As far as account progression goes, I have trudged my way all the way back up the Doom Tower again. Hooray. And I am sitting on the Lizardman Crypt mission. Once that opens, I can finish everything else in no time and get access to Ramontu. And we're also still at the tail end of the Sigmund Fusion and a Champion Chase tournament combined with a 2x Sacred and a 10 times Kalvalax. So we're going to start with a few shards for Kalvalax, and then I will talk about some things I have, or some pet peeves, or some warnings about videos other content creators put out. So to start with, I've already pulled a bunch of champions for the Fusion. I pulled the Fusion epics. So I got the 1,603 points without actually summoning any shards. So the 4 epics plus Gomlock. I pulled Gomlock because he's needed for the Mantu mission. I don't know if I'll build him or not. I haven't decided, but the goal here is going to be goes up to 5,000 points, and then I can use the Sigmund Fusion to finish it out and grab a book, or the last book. So here we go. Crossing my fingers. Maybe we'll get Kalvalax, maybe we won't, but off we go. I'm limiting my points because of the we have an upcoming Halloween fusion. Crimson Helm is she has some notoriety for. Apparently, you can use her to solo Bommel now, which would be very, very tricky. I actually have one built, so I didn't actually try that strategy. Doom Priest, I just recently re-geared my Doom Priest to handle the Frostbite a little bit better. She was previously geared for the clan boss, but I have now changed that. Stag Knight is an excellent champion. Everyone should have a Stag Knight. Not all the gold yet. A Chak I built to 50, and I'm using him in my Spider 25 team, 24, 25 team. He's got some pretty good CC and debuffs here, so he will freeze all the Spiderlings. Although it's hard to actually know which one of these actually happens. He'll either do a freeze or the HP burn. This passive's kind of weird. You kind of every time an HP burn ticks, so not too bad. Moving on. Uh-oh. What do we get? Oh, a Rotos. Oh, I have Rotos. Hmm. So I'll have to make a decision whether or not I want to actually build a second Rotos. Probably not. Power my Rotos. Don't know. Or use them in the Stupid vault, or excuse me, faction guardians thing. Protoss, great champion though. Hard to complain about him being a dupe, but he is a dupe. Moving on. Off the Bloodsoaked. I'm considering building this guy for the third rotation Doom Tower Force HP champion room. Man, not a whole lot of luck with legendaries today. RSL still a solid champion, has the AoE decrease down, and that's the AoE decrease down, and this is the turn meter decrease. That can actually stun if you actually decrease enough. Moving on. Not a lot of luck here. Romero is meh. Pairs with Juliana, which is eh. Almost need pair them so that you can get the decent skill here. Continuing on. Wow, not lucky with Legos today, am I? I am not. Bogoth is pretty good. He was kind of stealth nerfed. It's his passive that opens that passive. Whenever he's hit, he actually heals for half the damage. It makes him very difficult to kill, basically bumping up his effective health by 50%. Then he heals your whole team, so he's a huge healer. All right, keeping it rolling, keeping it rolling. No, not another one. Ooh, actually, Harshan is new. I think you are the. Oh wait, I'm wrong. I'm thinking of someone else. I think this guy's the defense down guy, but he's not. Increase fill turn meter on a fortune cooldown. That's kind of a lot, isn't it? Strengthen buff whenever they're HP down. That's okay, I guess. Buff defense turn fill. Attacks everyone for a weekend. Slight chance of provoke. I gotta say, I'm not impressed with this guy. He's new. I don't have him, and I don't really think I'll ever build him. So, come on, something not epic. Oh man. This guy was using a fusion, and I fused him for whatever the fusion champion was at the time. I don't remember who that was. Reviver? If you need a Skinwalker's Reviver, you've got one. What else does he do? Attack and crit rate. Okay. 25% chance placing a stun, but 2 hits. Based on HP. That's interesting. That's interesting. Most supports are based off of attack, so. All right, only 1 or 2 more. I'm going to need to save the rest for the upcoming Halloween fusion. Wow, nothing but. I already had a Crimson Helm. Like, it's like, come on, man. All right, this is the last one. Gonna cross our fingers for something good. Come on, Kalvalax, where are you? Wow. That is unfortunate. Calcut. It's kind of terrible, I think. You know what? We'll do one more for giggles. Hey! Oh no, not Jeffer. Oh no, not Jampert. You're supposed to be Kalvalax. All right. That is unfortunate. Jampert's a dupe. I kind of partially built him for Faction Wars, and then I've abandoned him because he's not great. Not great at all. You probably use him for Scarab Lord, but that's about it. He's not really. He. This will probably be a life token very soon. All right, so no Kalvalax. That is unfortunate. Really, no one out of that entire set I wanted to build either. So that's just too bad. All right, let's move on to the topic of today's video. If you're sticking around, great. If not, oh well. I just want to quickly talk about champion reviews that content creators put out and to kind of like beware of these claims. Obviously, we get champion reviews around whenever it's a current event, but content creators are kind of in a tough spot, right? That's why a lot of them do these summoning videos that I was hoping was shorter, but I guess got nothing for shard pulls. But the content creators are in the content creator program. They get perks from that. They kind of answer to company a little bit, so they try to keep it light, keep it positive. It's hard to be critical of an organization you're a member of, basically. And they also want to put out a lot of videos, so champion spotlights are good because there are a lot of champions in this game. I just got that new one that I don't really care about. I thought this guy was that guy, but I was wrong. So what I've noticed is a lot of these champions often are kind of like overhyped, overvalued. An example from my collection is early on in the game, I thought Nizana was going to solve a lot of problems for me. Some content creators are putting up videos on her, and she's only an okay champion. She'll do an ally attack and an AoE decrease attack, and that's about it. And there was a content creator put out a video and said, "Oh, this guy is great. You should build one, and she will carry you, upwards into the game." And didn't really quite work out that way for me. I kind of retrofitted her at some point, but put her in a bunch of shield items just to get by Faction Wars. The Valkyrie waves just to absorb all the damage, but for the most part, I don't use her. I don't even use her now, but that's an option if you are struggling with Faction Wars, just to protect yourself. Overall, though, for general content play, I think Reliquary Tender is a little bit better. So, some examples of spotlights. There's always a recent fusion. Someone does a video on the fusion guy. People are starting to get Romantus. There have been a few videos recently on Romantu. DT champions from the Doom Tower. You can't see them here. They're only in the fragments. As people get those, you see videos on those. And then I already mentioned the fusions, but the past fusions, though, usually you see a video for High Shield right when this fusion starts. You almost never see videos on these champions 1 month, 2 months, 3 months later. So, for example, when you go and look at someone like Rorik, who we just had the fusion for, or Mother Cybele, who was, I think, the previous one, who's using them? Where are they using them? Are they actually being used? Rarely do we get any kind of follow-up on that kind of stuff, which might be something I might do for another video when I don't have to pull a bunch of shards. I will probably look at some of the other fusions and talk about those. So I want to point out five things, and then we'll be done, about being aware of what other content creators are talking about. First off, a content creator will say, "Hey, such and such champion is good for Faction Wars." I got news for you. Faction Wars is kind of a low bar. If the only good thing a content creator says is, "Hey, they're good in Faction Wars," to me that's a red flag. They're being nice, but do not generally, I would say avoid champions. They're the only good thing someone says about them is, well, you could use them in Infection Wars. Well, you can use any of the champions in Infection Wars. Another kind of red flag for me is when they say, oh, it's good for free to play or low spend. And it's like, well, that's not a correct statement. Uh, a champion is not good or bad based on how much money that player puts into the game, right? The the choices we have is, do I build this champion or do I build a different champion? People might say, oh, High Shield's pretty good for, mid-game players. While that might be a true statement, there's a very large sea of characters that you could say is good for a mid-game player. Uh, the next kind of warning sign I'll point out is if they're doing dungeon runs and another character kind of steals the show. I can use Doom Tower because there's no cost for Doom Tower, but if they're on floor 1 and they're trying to show off, one character, be aware that if another character suddenly steps in and does amazing things, like if I'm trying to show off, I don't know, I'm trying to show off Zavia, and Zavia doesn't get a move, I think Herndig and Martial Edge steals the show. Yeah, Herndig's going to steal the show. I would be careful about things like that. Another warning sign I would say is pay attention to the comps people are using. What characters they put in there. Sometimes they're built specifically to make that champion look good. This is just 3 attack champions, defense down and weaken, and attack up, just to clear Doom Tower floors on normal quickly. But sometimes you see very unrealistic teams built around a champion just to make that champion look good. That's another thing to look at when a content creator has a video. And the last thing I'll point out is that some people have very, very insane gear on their champions. Like if it's all 6-star legendary, I got 1, 2, 3. I got 3. Like, this is a very well geared champion. I would not say this is average. Let's see. Someone more like I built a long time ago. Like, this is probably more of an average to built up champion. It's got lifesteal and crit damage. Some 6-star jewelry, but that's about it. So be aware that sometimes content creators will put gear on the champions that are way, way, way outside of the norm. And then the last pet peeve I'll have about these champion reviews and what content creators like to claim is that they often don't look at the alternatives. Like, they'll say, oh, this champion is good for this, that, and the other things. I've seen people do that with High Shield. They didn't really say, well, if you were not going to have High Shield, who would you build in their stead? To be fair, some content creators did point out things like Umbral Enchantress, that one I just showed you. She's an AoE taunter. Umbral does the same thing. Molly will also be a good alternative here. Sometimes content creators don't point these things out. Like, why build this champion over that champion? And for Sigmund, I think the strength has to be the A1 and the passive, just so he can muck with your buffs. If you just want someone who throws a shield up and defensive things, there are other champions that do sort of this, but not exactly this. But I think the A1 and the passive might be his utility in the near future. And the last note I'll say about this topic is, make sure whoever's doing a champion review, if the champion needs synergies, needs teamwork, hopefully they spell that out for you. This champion is good if you have this other champion to go with it. I mean, obviously that happened here with like Romero. Right, Romero kind of needs Juliana. Like, that's an obvious team pairing. But there are other pairings that aren't so obvious. So when there's a non-obvious pairing, hopefully they actually throw that in there as well. So beware of what the content creators say sometimes and keep those in mind. And hopefully you had better luck on your shard pulls than I did. I will see you guys next time.